Well, hello, I'm Dave Henning with the Fresh Start Podcast, fresh ideas for business and personal growth. And today I'm really grateful to have Heather Contorno with me. Heather, you are the mother of two amazing children, born and raised on Long Island, but makes your home now in Mooresville, North Carolina, Race City, USA.
That's right.
And you've turned your love for travel and Disney into a business, and you just enjoy planning vacations for people. And I like your tagline, making magic one vacation at a time for your customers and clients. So that is
Yeah.
awesome. Welcome. Thank you for being with me today. This is exciting.
Yes, I'm excited too. Thank you for having me.
So let's jump right into this. Tell
Yeah.
us a little bit about what does a Disney travel planner do, and how do you actually get paid? How does that work?
Yeah, sure. Because a lot of people don't actually understand how it all works. So a Disney planner can do pretty much as little or as much as the client would like. Some people like to do some of the planning, others don't. So I don't want people to feel like they can't use the Disney planner because they want to do everything. We can also just be a sounding board, an extra ear, or a direct contact. So you don't need to wait for 2 hours on hold with Disney. We can do that for you. Um,
Ah,
yeah,
oh,
that's a big one nowadays. Wait times all around are,
oh,
are
yes,
long. And Disney's unfortunately not immune to that.
right.
But the other big thing is how we get paid. There are some travel planners out there that charge fees and whatnot. But here at Mickey Travels, we never charge a fee for planning. We get paid direct from Disney or any of the other vendors we work with, cruise lines or Universal. So basically, when you're booking a package with Disney, if you do it directly, you're still paying commission. You just don't realize it. Disney keeps the
Oh,
commission. Um,
okay. That
so
makes
if
sense.
you book through me, you're paying the same exact amount as you would with Disney, but I get the commission. So you're supporting a small business rather than giving a big corporate entity like
Right.
Disney more money. So
Well,
it's really a win-win.
yeah, that makes total sense. I'm glad you explained that because, and you made an announcement the other day that I think you said that you're excited because Disney is finally back open, basically.
Yeah, I mean, they just the final piece was bringing back those character interactions and character hugs that all the little ones were missing. So that is back. So that was pretty much the big last piece. Masks were taken off on monorails and buses, which was the final place that they were required. So when the federal government lifted, or when there was that court order, the court saying it was illegal, whatnot, Disney lifted that as well.
Awesome. Very cool. And of course, you're closer to Disney World, where I took my daughters when they were very, very little. I made that promise. We drove down there at that time. That was a lot of fun. And then I kind of forgot that I had actually been to the original Disneyland in California, where Walt Disney had his little apartment right there.
Mhm.
Him and his wife could look down on Main Street and see all the kids having fun. And what's amazing to me is the design was made. I mean, it was all made to be a happy place. I mean, even the way the architecture was framed and so forth. Isn't that just crazy?
It is. I love every Disney fan should make that pilgrimage to California and
Yeah,
walk in that park where Walt Disney himself walked, because that is the only park that he lived to see completed. Um,
yeah,
and and his vision, is there.
yeah. Very cool. So, of course, people are listening now and would like to know what kind of planning tips would you recommend for someone saying, "Oh, yes, we want to get to Disney finally."
Yeah. So the number one tip is book early. Don't wait. The sooner you book, you lock in that price, because of course ticket prices can go up, hotel prices. So you want to lock that in as early as possible. And all it takes is a $200 deposit to book your package, and final payment isn't due until 30 days prior to check-in. And you can make payments in between as often as you'd like. Some people like to make payments. I've had clients make small payments as they get paid. Other people like to just hold on to their money and pay Disney at the end. So it's all up to what someone wants to do. But you will have your best availability at that point. And so packages typically for the following year open in June for the next year. So for instance, 2023 packages will probably be released in mid to late June. Typically that's what's happened. So we're kind of expecting that to happen again this year. Last year, Disney released them early with COVID and stuff. So you never know, but that's typically when it happens. So, and basically you can book 499 days in advance. So in June 2023, you can't book December 2023 yet. You have to wait a few more months, but definitely recommend booking early.
Sure.
And then you want to decide, the first step usually I take clients through is booking your ticket and resort package first. That's the most important thing to decide. How long am I going to stay? Where do I want to stay? What kind of, vacation do I want to have? Because there are 3 levels of resorts at Walt Disney World. There's the value level, and then there's moderate, and then you have your deluxe level, which is, the Grand Floridian, the Polynesian, all those that people know. But it all depends on your style. Some people like the values because they figure they're going to be in the parks all day. They're only using it to sleep in. And then some like the amenities and everything else that comes with a deluxe resort, which is proximity to the parks. Some of them you can walk to parks too. So it's easy to get to a park and back to the resort if you have little ones that need to take a nap in the middle of the day, or you want to take a pool break in those hot summer months of Florida weather. So that is where you usually want to start. And then Disney now requires park reservations to get into the parks. Yeah. So you need your park ticket, and then you have to make a park reservation for the park you plan to go to that day. And, that falls in line with another planning tip. You need to do your research. You need to know how it works. It's not like going to Carowinds here or Six Flags. Magic Mountain, I think, is out in California, those types of parks. I can't tell you how many stories I've heard of people walking up to the gates and they can't get into the park because parks are sold out for that day and they didn't make a park reservation. So,
oh my goodness,
wow. A family shows up there, their kids, are excited to get into the Magic Kingdom and they're told they can't get in.
Oh my goodness.
Never want that to happen. So unfortunately, that's another reason to use a Disney planner. We'll make sure that everything is in order on time. And so you're set up for the best and most magical experience you can have there, because you don't want to get there and not be able to get in. Yeah. And then there's dining reservations and all other enchanting extras that come along with a Disney vacation that you can add on and just add a little extra pixie dust. I guess using a Disney planner would be a third tip, like just to keep you on track and make sure you're doing everything you need to do.
That would be wise. So do they still offer like the old season passes as well for local people or things like that?
They have Florida resident passes, yes. Mm-hmm.
I see.
And then they currently are suspending annual passes for everybody, for us out-of-state people.
Sure.
They've suspended that since the holidays and have not brought that back yet. But I know there's a lot of people waiting for those to come back.
Yeah. And you had a great review, I think, from somebody that you had gotten one of the luxury hotel locations. Do you remember that was a really outstanding review? Tell us a little bit more about that.
Yeah, I'm not sure. Let's see. Was it on Facebook? Is that
Oh, yeah, I think so. Yeah.
Yeah. I've had a couple of families. There was one back in January. They did a whole VIP tour. And I got that all set up for them. And actually, they're going to be doing that again in June. And those VIP tours are great. They're can be a little pricey, but for the right family and situation, it's a great way to just skip the lines all day, and you can sail through and get so much done in one day with one of those VIP tours. So, yeah, I have a lot of great clients that just love working together, and you're planning a fun vacation, so
Yeah.
we just have a great time
And
getting
for
it all
many,
together.
and as you say, for many, it might be a once in a lifetime kind of thing because your children are not going to be that age any longer. They're growing up
Yeah,
as
I
well.
mean, yeah, that's another thing that comes up. I'm glad you kind of mentioned that, because some people always are waiting until their kids are old enough to remember it, and so they don't want to take their say 3, 4, 5-year-old children. And our view, or my view, and I know several other people, is just take them, like, because you know what, they may not remember it, but you're going to remember their reactions and how
Yeah.
they were on the trip. And that's just magical in itself. I love, actually the first time I took my daughter to Disney, she was 2 months old. We were down in Florida just for the day, and just went, I'm sorry, we were down visiting, but went just for the day. I think it was around Mother's Day. And obviously she doesn't remember it, but I have the pictures and can say, this is your first day at Disney World.
Yeah.
But yeah, I guess if you're a once in a lifetime, then you may want to wait till your kids are older. But for us people that like to go very often, I definitely recommend taking them at each stage of their life, and see how different their experiences can be, and their excitement. And yeah.
And that VIP thing, isn't that also kind of like what you might call at a rock concert, like a backstage pass? Isn't there some
Yeah.
interesting things included that you can kind of see the workings of the
Yes.
park?
Well, that's a separate park. That's actually a separate tour, and I can talk about that in a second.
Okay.
But yes, the VIP tour you do walk in some backstage areas, and your VIP tour guide will give you lots of helpful hints along the way, and history of different things, and set you up for the rest of your trip, because most people do that one day. They don't do it every day of their trip. So you can have a great rest of your vacation. But the tour you might be thinking of is called the Keys to the Kingdom tour.
Ah, yes.
And I'm actually going to do that in June for the first time. I'm very excited. You have to be 16 years or older to do it. So I haven't been able to do it because I usually have my children with me.
I thought you were older than 16.
Just a little bit. But I'm going to be actually going with my brother in June. So we're going to do that. And we're very excited. And you get to see all the backstage areas of the Magic Kingdom. You go down into what they call the utilidors. I don't know if you've heard of that. That's basically the level underneath the Magic Kingdom. So the Magic Kingdom is actually up on the second level. You don't realize it. And the first level is really these utilidors. And that's how the cast members and everything's moving underneath that. You'll never see a cast member wearing a Frontierland uniform over in Tomorrowland. They make very strong efforts to not intermingle costumes and areas throughout the park, so you feel like you're constantly transformed into a different area.
Well, that is fascinating. That's very, very interesting. Wow.
Yeah, I'm super excited.
And as I recall, with my ancient memory here, that you've got EPCOT, and then you've got different areas. And describe that a little bit more. EPCOT is the acronym for
Experimental Prototype Community of Tomorrow.
Yeah, that.
Yeah. So EPCOT's gone through some changes, and there's a lot of construction going on there. Their newest ride, Guardians of the Galaxy, is opening Memorial Day weekend. So everyone's very excited about that. That's been long awaited. It did take the place of an extinct ride, Universe of Energy, that was there prior. That was the dinosaurs and everything, the history of how energy came about. And then, so you have that portion, and then you have the World Showcase, which is where all the countries are. And a popular thing among adults is to do drinking around the world. And EPCOT is where they do all their fun festivals. So EPCOT will have the Food and Wine Festival in the fall. The Festival of the Arts is in usually January, February. And then you have the Flower and Garden, which is in the midst of that right now. They have beautiful topiaries and flowers and everything all over the place. So, and then they do their holiday festival as well. So Epcot's really known for their festivals. It's a great park. Everyone, a lot of people love it. I think sometimes it gets a little overlooked. People think it's not for kids, but there's a lot to do for little ones there. And as things develop and the construction and all the changes come about, it's going to be even better.
And
so
you
yeah,
were talking about
that was the second park to open. And then the next park to open was Hollywood Studios. That's what it's called now. It was MGM when it first opened.
All right.
And then when their contract with MGM was over, they switched to Hollywood Studios. But that's where the new Star Wars land is, and Toy Story Land, and more Hollywood type things there. And then the last park to open, which just celebrated its anniversary, was Animal Kingdom.
Really?
And that's a wonderful park. It focuses a lot of on conservation. They have wonderful animal experiences, a wonderful safari, and all kinds of extra tours you can even do at the safari area. And then they have the Land of Pandora there, World of Avatar. So there's a lot to do there. Some people think it's a glorified zoo, but it is not a glorified zoo. It's way more than that. So yeah, there's 4 parks to do. So it's a big vacation, and it's not going to be a relaxing vacation. But,
you get your exercise.
Yes, you'll get like 20,000 steps in a day.
Wow.
Yeah, so definitely I recommend. Here's another planning tip. Definitely plan to at least leave 1 rest day in there. Don't go 4 days straight if you can, because that's a lot even for adults.
Yeah. So that's a typical package is 4 days?
At least most people will want to do each park once, 4 days. So I usually would recommend at least a 5 to 6 day visit. So you can have 1 to 2 days in. There's so much to do outside the parks.
Right.
For men, there's golf. There's Disney Springs, which is their entertainment dining district. You can go there. There's like so many different things you don't even know about. Archery experiences, fishing, horseback riding.
Wow.
Yeah, so many things. I mean, there's even, I just had a client go in March and they loved it. It was an adult trip. It's called Sangria University, and it's held at one of the resorts, and you go and learn about sangria, make your own sangria. So there's a lot of stuff to do outside the parks.
I'm smiling because if I say this, it's going to be stuck in my brain all day, but it's a small world after all.
That's right.
That song, they still do that or not really?
Oh yeah. You can't go and not go on It's a Small World.
Right. That's speaking of memories from when your children were little. Boy, oh boy, I remember that one myself.
Yep.
So, and wow, that's incredible. And I'm speaking with Heather Contorno. You are an expert planner for Disney Planner, and why not use Heather? I recommend her highly. She knows her stuff, and she's an expert, and she's friendly too, by the way, in case you haven't figured that out. So easy to work with. So tell us about. There's obviously, I've been to Orlando, so several times. Well, you already told us about other Disney destinations outside the parks, but what about the other destinations that you will work with, which are another optional thing that you can help people explore? You'll talk about it.
Yeah. So obviously I do all the Disney destinations, like you just said, Walt Disney World, Disneyland, Disney Cruise Line, which is another one I might just say quickly to book super early. Disney Cruise Line, they just next week, you can start booking into summer of 2023. You'll get your best prices and availability at Disney Cruise Line when you book right away. It only gets more expensive, which is the case with any cruise line.
Sure. Yeah.
And then there's Disney also has a resort in Hawaii on Oahu called Alani. So it's a great way to enjoy paradise there in Hawaii, but have a little bit of the Disney magic. And then lastly, one that I bet a lot of people don't know about is Adventures by Disney. And that's basically tours. There's tours in the United States and around the world that Disney organizes. And so it's just a class above a lot of other tours. And, they're great for families. There's things for kids to do. And you have local experts that they bring on to walk you through that. And actually, Adventures by Disney, last I heard, was out of all the Disney destinations, the one that people are most likely to return to.
Oh, cool.
So that's an interesting and a fun experience. I'd love to do one day myself. I haven't gotten a chance. But outside of Disney, I also work with Universal Parks. And a lot of people like to coordinate a Universal trip and a Disney trip. So they'll do a little split vacation. All other cruise lines I work with, Royal Caribbean is one I highly recommend, Celebrity, Carnival, any of the other cruise lines. And then I also do all-inclusive vacations. So like your Sandals and your all-inclusives in the Caribbean and Mexico. I try to keep it narrowed down. So, I don't want to spread out too much information, keep it.
Sure, absolutely.
Better to know more in a couple of areas than little and a lot.
Correct. Yes. So what's the best way for people to contact you?
Sure. So I have obviously an email address, and that's hcontorno@mickeytravels.com for all my Disney work. We do have a separate entity for anything outside of Disney, which is hcontorno@letsadventuretravel.com. I have Facebook pages for each of those. And our agency also has a website for each of those, which would be mickeytravels.com and letsadventuretravels.com. I'm on TikTok. I'm on LinkedIn. I have a travel Facebook group called Pixie Dust, Broomsticks, and Beyond. So you can check that out and join our group. We do a lot of fun things, and I share a lot of information on that. So I think those are my main ways of getting in touch with me.
I'm speaking with Heather Contorno. She is an expert on travel, and it's worth getting in touch to find out what you don't know and what you do know, and how you can get all the help you need and have it done right and enjoyable with no surprises. Let's just put it that way. So let me ask you one more question, Heather, before we go. So what was your very first job ever when you were a kid or a young person, maybe a teenager?
Well, I babysat, but if you want to go to a real place, I worked at our library.
Oh, no kidding. That's interesting.
I worked at the Sachem Public Library on Long Island.
Oh my goodness. I remembered, I don't know if we had those library buses that came to our school and parked outside, and they'd let you walk through and pick out books and take them out. I don't know if you had anything that probably ancient history, but I don't know. But I love libraries. I love books. So anyway, that's very cool.
Yeah. I've moved away from that a little bit.
Now I like the audiobooks, so I can just do that anywhere.
Yeah.
So. Well, thank you for being with me today. I really appreciate it, Heather. And we want you to be sure to get a hold of Heather, check out her Facebook pages, and we put that in our information online as well. And just appreciate you being here. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Dave.